Hey there, welcome to another Real Time with Ray conversation. And, this is where we have real talk about your real time issues with your man, your money, and your mini me. Although, a lot of the conversations we've been having lately haven't really been about either. It's sort of. The stuff that we've talked about was really some stuff dealing with you. And it would apply. But I think because you can apply it to your issues with your man, your money, and your mini me. It's not like man specific, mini me specific. Oh, I did do the one about your millennial mini me, but I guess I could do more of those. I will. I will do more of those. But for now. This week's conversation is all about purpose. It's all about purpose. And I was sharing on a Facebook Live about the biggest reason for your stress. And how that ties into this conversation about purpose is because I want to deal with the fact that everything has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. And so I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me back up. I'm going to back up. I'm going to back up. So I'm not even going to tell y'all the song that just ran through my head. So anyway, okay, so the stress. The biggest reason for your stress, it's not your dude, it's not your man, it's not your money situations, it's not your mini me. I know that they could be the tool, but they're not the cause. They are not the cause of your stress. What's causing you stress is your attachment to people, places, and things that are no longer serving you. So let's talk about the serving you, and then we'll tie it right into purpose. All right. So when I say serving you, let me just say again, everything has a purpose, because people are like, what do you mean if it's not serving me? If it's not applicable to who you are, where you are, who you're dealing with, and such. Like, for instance, when I moved my daughter from Philadelphia to Virginia, I don't know if you know this about Philly, but in Philadelphia, if you live there, you don't have to do this if you visit, but if you live in Philadelphia, you have to have this edge, okay? It's this edge that you have to have, because it is all about the survival of the fittest in Philadelphia. You know how people talk about how Philly is such a rough crowd, whether when they come here for whatever type of entertainment it may be, sports, comedians, musicians, singers and such, the arts. Well, yeah, it's this thing about Philly. Well, when I moved her to the suburbs of Virginia, it was a completely different vibe. It was a completely different environment. And so I had to have a conversation with her one day. And I told her, I was just like, Mama, I call her Mama. I was like, Mama, that edge that you have, you got to let that go. You got to relax with that, because it doesn't apply to this atmosphere, this environment. It doesn't serve you here. Now, when we go back and visit Philadelphia, or if you find yourself living in Philadelphia again, then you might have to pick that edge back up, because it will serve you there. But here, it will complicate your life. It'll cause you problems. It'll interfere with your relationships, and it'll cause you to miss out and or lose opportunities, because it's too much. It's too much for this environment. So that's just to give you an example of what I mean by serving you. Well, everything that serves you, it has a purpose. Everything has a purpose, right? Okay, so the purpose of that edge, that the purpose of that edge was so that when she walked on these mean streets of Philadelphia, or on those mean streets of Philadelphia, that edge would emanate. People could read it and people would know, like, okay, if I come for her, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tussle. It's going to be a fight. So is that what I really want? If they're looking for a mark, then they probably want somebody who doesn't really have that edge. But if you've got that edge, people probably don't want to give you as many problems because they don't really want problems. They just want what they want, right? So it served a purpose. That edge was the purpose. It was serving her in Philadelphia. So it had a purpose. Everything has a purpose, and everything has a place, and everything has a time. Okay, so if it's no longer serving you, the people, the places, the things, if they're no longer serving you and you don't let them go and they stay in your life, what ends up happening is it starts affecting your relationships. Well, it definitely affects you. It stresses you out. You're stressed. It's too much. It's too much. Why? Because the energy, the effort, the attention, the strength, the brain power, what you've got has to go into the people, the places, and the things that are serving you and that you are serving. That's it. If you try to go beyond that before it's time for you to have more or do more, all you're going to do is be stressed out. So, purpose. If it's not serving you, if it's no longer serving a purpose for you, then you got to let it go. And it could be something good. It could be something good. Oh my gosh. I use the example of, the mean streets of Philadelphia having that edge. But okay, the edge is good. Let me tell you. If you lived in Philadelphia, you would want that edge. The edge is good. So I wouldn't even call the edge bad. The edge is good. It's a good thing to have when you live in Philadelphia. But if you're living in the suburbs of Virginia, that edge, not so much. No longer has a purpose. It's no longer... It's not synced in time. And so it'll create problems for you. And I wanted to use this illustration of weights because I don't know if you knew this or not, but there is good stress as well as bad stress. So let's talk about good stress. Let's talk about the good stress. So let's say you're working out at the gym, and I'm just throwing a random number out there because, I'm not going to shame myself on how much I can press. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to throw a number out there. Let's say you are pressing 15 pounds and then you kind of plateau at that 15. Well, if you add another 5 pounds onto that press, then when you add the additional weight, it will stress your muscles. It will stress you. It will cause stress in your body. It'll stress. It'll even cause stress in your mind because your mind wants to fix it. Your mind is engaged. Well, we all know that working out and stuff is very mental. So that's a good stress. Did I mention good? Okay. So yeah, that's a good stress. Bad stress. Ooh, bad stress. Bad stress is the total opposite. It doesn't kind of, stress your muscles and help you to strengthen. If you same scenario and you try to, or you decide to go from pressing 15, instead of placing an additional 5, you place an additional 15. Well, it's not only going to stress you, it's going to break you down. It's going to hurt you. It's going to harm you. Why? Because it's too much. It's too much. It's too much too soon. It's too much. And so you gotta pace yourself with the weight. Okay. You gotta pace yourself with the weight. Well, it's the same thing. Let's kind of bring it into our equation because we're talking about purpose. So we said that you're stressed because of the people, your attachment to people, places, and things that are no longer serving you, right? Okay, so what you are serving and what is serving you needs to be in your space. It's occupying your space. And you've got to, like I said, you've got to exert the energy, the effort, the attention. You've got to put out there for that. Well, if you've got that 15 extra pounds on, you're piling that on because you're trying to keep the stuff that you're attached to that's not serving you. You're trying to keep stuff that's not serving you in your space. And now you're stretched. Now you're stretched beyond capacity. You're stretched beyond your scope because you're giving more than you really have to give. You're trying to press more than you're really able to press, than you realistically can press. Now, at some point, would you be able to press that extra 15 pounds? Sure. But you've got to build up to that, right? You've got to build up to that. So the things that you have to let go of, the things that you have to detach from, that's really the word that I want to use, detach. The things that you have to detach from, the people that you have to detach from, the places that you have to detach from, does it mean that they're bad things? No, not necessarily. An extra 15, the weights in themselves are not a bad thing. Weights are good when they're properly applied, right? When they're properly used, right? When you're not putting 15 extra pounds on, 15 extra pounds of weight on, opposed to just dealing with that now 15 plus 5, 20 pounds, right? So, having said that, let it go. Just because it's good doesn't mean that you hold on to it. Just because they are good, the person is good, doesn't mean that you hold on to it. Because if it's no longer serving you, it's no longer helping you. And it doesn't get better. It won't get better. It will get worse. So, I'm just saying. Let some stuff go. Let it go. If it's not serving you, let it go. You got to trust your process. And you just got to let it go so that you can grow with who, what, grow with who and grow with what you have, where you are, where you're supposed to be. But those are my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts. Leave a comment. Get in on the conversation. And definitely connect with me on social media at Ray Share Solutions.